Edward Grady Partin was born in 1924 in Mississippi. We know a few things about his early life, from him being dishonorably discharged from the Marines to his first arrest being for robbing a house. Partin is known for being a business agent for the Teamsters Union, with his work being based in Louisiana. He has had numerous allegations, investigations, indictments, and convictions thrown at him over the years, most of which were not pursued by law enforcement because of a certain action he committed, an action which plays a major role in Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. Ed Partin was a business manager for the Teamsters for around 30 years. He did many dirty works for them, and his life seems rampant with numerous immoral activities. In 1961, the Local 5 of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters charged Partin with embezzlement of funds that belonged to the union, and the union records book had mysteriously disappeared and was later found at the bottom of a river. Two men who testified against Partin were seriously beaten, and one was later killed by a truck. In 1962, he was charged on 26 accounts of embezzlement and falsifying records, and was released on bail. The same year, he drove his car off the road, which injured 2 people and killed a third. He left the scene, for which he was indicted on first-degree manslaughter and leaving the scene of an accident. Funnily enough, the day before this indictment, Partin had turned himself to the authorities, who wanted him on charges of aggravated kidnapping, with him somehow managing to raise £60,000 for bail for his cases. Ed Partin worked closely with Teamsters President Jimmy Hoffa. Upon being appointed to his office, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy established the Get Hoffa Squad, intent on bringing down Jimmy Hoffa and other corrupt individuals associated with the mob. Hoffa had gotten off previous cases, and it looked like it would be the same with this one, seeing as though the prosecution had pretty much no case against Hoffa's indictments for apparent jury rigging. Shockingly though, Ed Partin emerged as a surprise witness against Hoffa after working with him so closely, and it is thought that when Partin entered the courtroom to testify against Hoffa, Hoffa exclaimed, "My God, it's Partin." Partin's testimony is what ultimately would go on to send Jimmy Hoffa to jail, and kickstarts events that Scorsese's The Irishman will show was the end of Hoffa. It turned out that Partin had apparently been planted by the government in the inner Hoffa circle, listening in on lawyer strategies and passing on information. It was he who obtained evidence of Hoffa's jury tampering, saying that Hoffa promised him £20,000 to fix a jury at the 1962 trial which Hoffa was on for corruption, eventually ending on a hung jury. Partin himself denied under oath he was paid or bribed in any way by the government to turn on Hoffa, but it was later revealed that the Justice Department had been paying his ex-wife $300 a month, which coincidentally was the exact amount for alimony. He also denied that any deal had been made which saw indictments against him buried in exchange for his testimony. It is thought that many individuals who were allies to Hoffa, including mobster Carlo Marcello and actor Audie Murphy, wanted Partin to retract his court statements, which could have reopened the case. It never happened though. It's thought that he led them on for several years, and the fact that it was still possible for him to speak out was thought to be the reason why Jimmy Hoffa did not have him killed. Partin would go on to be involved in numerous labour disputes and trouble with the law. The late 60s and 70s were ridden with numerous court cases, including him being convicted of conspiracy to obstruct justice by hiding witnesses in 1979, and he was finally imprisoned in 1980 on charges of extortion. He had more charges come his way even while he was in prison, including for embezzlement and conspiracy. And though the union agreed to pay his wages while he was in jail, his term as a business agent for the Teamsters ended in 1981. Partin was released in 1986 to a halfway house. Edward Partin died in 1990 at the age of 66 from diabetes and complications that arose from a cardiovascular disease. His involvement in The Irishman is likely to be being featured in numerous courtroom battles with Jimmy Hoffa, until he ends up finally sending him to jail through his surprise testimony. In the first draft of the script of the film, he acts as a nighttime security guard and bodyguard for Hoffa after someone ran at Hoffa with a gun in the middle of a courtroom. He tapes recordings of conversations that he attaches to his body and hands it over to the federal prosecutor, sealing Hoffa's fate. It's a small-ish part, but a hugely important one, seeing as though it begins the beginning of the end for Jimmy Hoffa. Edward Partin will be played by Craig Vincent in The Irishman, who you might remember in 1995's Casino as the cowboy who refused to take his boots off and is subsequently thrown out, and who, funnily enough, is also subscribed to this YouTube channel. Hi Craig. The Irishman is set for release on Netflix's streaming service in late 2019. Thanks for watching.